there, it's Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we have a really fun project that I was kind of just experimenting with. And then since I kind of found it, I've been finding lots of fun ways to use this. So I thought I would show you the starting process anyhow. I have some embossing folders. Any embossing folders are going to work. Sometimes it's a matter of experimenting to see which ones work the best. I have some acetate. I have found that any acetate works. This is just a Hero Arts acetate, but these sheets are 5 by 6, so they are much bigger than what I need. But I just pop this inside my embossing folder like I would any other piece of paper, and then I run this through my embossing machine, again just like I would any piece of paper, and the result that I get is honestly really fun just by itself. So if you haven't played around with embossing acetate just by itself, then that is a whole nother fun technique that you could try. But I'm just going to emboss a few pieces here, and then I have this kind of leftover strip which I embossed as well, and all of these pieces are going to be good. Now for this technique, I used some texture paste. Now, modeling paste, texture paste, there is a whole different lot of names for it, so you probably can use what you have in your stash. And all I'm going to do is I am going to use a palette knife to spread some of the embossing paste so that it falls into those little, I think they're the debossed, so that it's kind of you've got the open pieces on this side that they are going into, and I'm making sure that I'm getting them right down into all those little cracks and crevices that the embossing folder has created. Now this is just a really simple design so that you can kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here, but all I'm doing is spreading it, and I'm really making sure there is none on the surface. I only want it to be in the design. So here is the first one, and of course this is just the plain white one, and this looks really good. It brings out that design beautifully, but of course from here we can step it up. So I have another one here. This is that skinnier piece, and just making sure I've got it the right side down. Now I'm going to be using some re-inkers to colour my texture paste. This texture paste is a matte, opaque matte, so this is completely white. It's going to dry white, and I want to add some colour just for something a little bit fun and a little bit different. So I've added in some kind of pinky red. I think this is the red Simon Hurley traffic cone colour, but of course when you add it to white it's going to come out kind of pinkish. I like this colour. It reminds me of the abandoned coral from the Oxide range, and again I'm just spreading this in so that it is just in the cracks and crevices. I did try a few times to kind of wipe it over with a damp cloth, and it does work on some designs. It works really well to clean up the surface, but in some of them it didn't, and honestly it didn't really matter because you were able to clean it up really well with a palette knife anyway. So that is the second one, and then when you just put it in comparison side by side with the white one, it just gives us a little different look. Now I was thinking about how we can kind of emboss with embossing folders anyhow, and I really liked that look. But I was like, how can we get those indented bits to be coloured as well? So that was when I was playing around with this, and it's a really fun technique. And I am going to show you how I finish this off a couple of cards using these today as well. Now for this one, I'm going to step it up just a little bit, and I have some shooting star, I have some guppy, and I'm also going to use the traffic cone colour, so basically a yellow, an orange, and a red, and I just mix them up. I have way too much here. This does not use much texture paste at all. Now I was thinking the other things would be fun with, if you have glitter paste, you could try that. All sorts of things that you could put in, and in fact I was thinking whether you could just mix in glitter in with these ones, and if you had the transparent gel. I do have some of that, I just didn't have time to play with it today in this video, but if you had transparent gel and then you added some glitter to that, what it would look like. What about if you added coloured glitter? And there are so many different pastes that you could try this technique with, so lots and lots of different options, and I guess I'm just showing you a few basic ones today that kind of started me off on this little tangent. Now, if you end up giving this a try, or you already do this and you have lots of different ways to do this and you would like to share, then a great place you can share photos and things with us is over on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is called Come Crafting with Natasha. I will leave a link to that down below in the description box. We have it's a fast growing group over there, and such an amazing group of people. Very, very supportive. We are very, very lucky. I feel incredibly lucky. And so if you would like to post some photos, that is a great place to do it. And if you are interested in any of the supplies I have used in today's video, as usual, I have them linked in the description box below this video. But here I just wanted to show you a few different designs I had done with a few different embossing folders, and it works pretty well no matter what design you have, but it does give really different results. So I had a whole lot of fun playing with this. This one, I really love the blue. This stood out. In fact, I'm going to make a card with this in just a minute to show you guys. But yeah, lots of different designs, and it was fun that I could just go through and find another use for my embossing folders. So from here, this is where I'm going to start to put my card together. I really like this one that I did that is just a plain strip, and in fact the fact that it was just a plain strip kind of inspired me what I wanted to do. So these cards I am going to keep relatively simple. This is the Happy Birthday sentiment set, and I have the two big main sentiments here cut out, and I actually stored them in the back of the stamp set so that they were ready to go for the next time. Then one of my all-time favorites, as you know, is the Pinkfresh Studios Curvy Leaves, and I have a couple of these die cut out from previously. I did colour these with a finger dauber using the same inks, the same Simon Hurley inks that I coloured the paste with, and that was the one that I was anticipating I would use them with, the one that was yellow, orange and red. However, I really liked this red one, which I guess kind of comes out pink, and I just cut one of those really long ones in half, and then I kind of came out each side. Very, very simple design, but I really love this. And I was thinking about which colour I could colour in my sentiment, but it really didn't need any colour. I liked it just as is. So I put a little bit of double-sided tape on the back there, just so I could attach those leaves. And then from there, this sentiment is big enough, and this is why I chose these sentiments. I want to make them big enough that I can adhere everything down so that I know that nothing is going to shift through the mail or when the recipient gets this, depending on how it gets delivered. I don't have a specific person that I'm giving this one to. This one will go in my stash so that my family can come and raid it whenever they would like to. So I'm just making sure there is plenty of adhesive down, and I'm going to stick this down onto the acetate that we did, and then I will pick that up and put more adhesive behind here. I'm going to make sure there is lots of adhesive so it's not going to go anywhere. With acetate, I pretty much find, I know that there are some adhesives out there that kind of claim to be that you can't see them and things through acetate. However, I find with acetate you either cover the entire thing or you hide the acetate. So the other option for me would have been to actually put adhesive behind the whole acetate sheet, and that way you kind of can't tell, but the whole thing would have been stuck down flat. And I like that it gives it a little bit of dimension. I love that little bit of shine and the colour poking through. Here is the next card. As I said, I really liked this blue one. Now this was one that I was not able to wipe with a wet cloth. It was, the gaps were too big, the design was too big. It just took out the actual colour. So you can tell here I only got to scrape it with the palette knife and it still looks absolutely fine. So here I am just going to take my Hero Arts Infinity die set. I have some Stick It adhesive, double-sided adhesive. I'm popping that onto the back of a piece of white cardstock, and then to create a circular frame I'm taking two of the different size dies. I use a little bit of low-tack tape with the frames facing upwards and put one inside the other so that I make sure they create an even frame. Now here is the inside of the circle that I die cut, and it has that Stick It adhesive on it, so I always make sure that I write on it before I put it in my stash so that I know that when I get that piece out it is ready to have the release paper taken off, and then it will be sticky, because I don't want to waste it. It's a great product, so that little piece is there for when I next need it. Now I have popped the little sticky circle on top here. This has created a really nice frame. Now this is like the opposite side to the texture paste that I put in. So the texture paste at the moment is on the facing downward side and the frame is facing upwards. So I am going to put these really thin foam strips around the outside here. These ones are from scrapbook.com. They are fantastic and so skinny and really nice and long. And I'm going to pop these around. You absolutely don't need to do this. I just really liked the fact that this gave it a little bit of dimension. You could definitely make this a shaker card if you wanted to, but I'm keeping these cards very, very clean and simple today. And all I'm going to do is take the circle and pop it straight down on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. And as I said, it gives it that nice little bit of dimension. And this is another old favorite. This is the Word Fragments stamp set. This is, I've used this a lot. It is one of my favorites. I love that it creates that little black frame without me having to do it. I'm going to stamp this out in my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, a really nice dark pigment ink for stamping. And then I always stamp out a couple. This either gives me a spare for another time and I just pop it in the back of the stamp set, or it means that when I muck up one, I don't have to get everything out and re-stamp it out again. Then I use my nice long bladed scissors for cutting out the sentiment. This is just a nice quick way for me, but you could use your trimmer, that would work perfectly too. I'm putting some adhesive on the back, and then I wasn't sure how many of these little leaves I wanted to use. I originally thought I would use a few, both sides of it, but when I put it on, it kind of, I don't know, it was a bit too much. It wasn't quite right, so I just sat with one at the very end. And although this card looks very plain, once I add on some of these gems to it, this card came together so quickly. So sometimes it's not about necessarily adding a whole nother big paper element. It's just about adding some gems, and it came together and this looked like a finished card to me. As I said, these were clean and simple kind of cards. There's not a lot to them, but I really wanted to just showcase that coloured embossing that we had done with the embossing paste on embossing folders. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. I had a whole lot of fun creating many cards out of these. I thought I would share a couple with you in case you wanted to give this project a go yourself, but these gorgeous results, the shine from the acetate, the colour from the embossing paste, it was really fun. So I thank you so much for joining me today, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video.